So this is the kind of time where I've got you here for another 10 minutes, and I love the NFL draft. You love the NFL draft, and the Eagles have 2 first-round picks. So we're going to talk a little about the 2023 NFL draft, and that is the quarterback class, which I think is absolutely outstanding. Lead us off, Mark. The Eagles probably won't have a shot at this guy, but C.J. Stroud, this guy has basically the measurables. He has the elite decision-making. He plays like a professional quarterback. What's your take on C.J. Stroud?
Yeah, I mean, look, Crocky, from where I sit, he's QB1 going into this year.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, a lot can change, but I'm a big believer of his game. NFL arm. You look at the offense that it ran at Ohio State, and I know that with Justin Fields and now a little bit with Stroud, as people are doing their summer scout, and there's questions of, are they one read, progression read guys? Can they work through progression reads? I've got their playbook just outside of my reach right now. It's an NFL type of system, right? With routes that convert, multiple conversions on a given play where all 4 or 5 routes might convert based on the coverage. What that does is it's not so much that he can read and decipher a defense. There's a lot of the progression reads that are done pre-snap, right? Like if you get to the line of scrimmage and okay, I've got this skiddy on the right side. It's going to convert to a straight seam if they stay in single high. It's going to convert, to a safety splitter and 2 high. That's where my eyes are going to go. You're ruling stuff in and out before the play even begins. He moves well in the pocket. Like, is there stuff he can clean up, footwork, throw in motion? Yeah, certainly. But I think right now, he's the guy I'm most excited to watch. Now, are there concerns in the sense that he's playing around a ton of talent? Yeah. I mean, we just saw 2 of his receivers get drafted in the first round. We're going to see another one next year with JSN, who's a fantastic wide receiver prospect as well. You also saw their tight end get drafted on day 2, I believe, or maybe early day 3 in Ruckert, who was like their 3rd option. So he's got NFL talent around him. But I think, look, when you see what he does, when you see what he's asked to do, very, very good quarterback prospect going into the season.
Yeah, I think C.J. Stroud just going to put up video game-like numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be absolutely historic. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. Moving on, of course, that is basically 1B or right underneath that guy, and that C.J. Stroud. I'm talking about Bryce Young. What's your take on Bryce Young, and is his lack of size any concern to you?
It's not, with the way the NFL has trended at the position. I mean, he's certainly built more like a slot receiver than your traditional pocket quarterback. But when you see the decisions that he made, when you see the aggression that he played with, the appropriate aggression with taking some chances with the football, when opportunities present themselves, good placement, good accuracy, good vision, all that stuff. Very much an athletic quarterback as well. Also had the best game against Georgia. I mean, that should count for something. You're talking about a team that produced, I think, 5 first-round picks on the defensive side of the ball. Should have had 6 with Dean, but he fell because of injuries. And so the fact that he had a good game against them should also count for something. The size is a concern. It might be that some teams sort of leave him down the board as a result, but I'm not knocking him for that. I mean, I think you're right. If Stroud is your 1A, he's your 1B.
Yeah, he can, his touch and accuracy hitting that middle area of the field is absolutely legit. Let's go on to a guy that I think has Eagles written all over it, assuming Jalen Hurts doesn't work out. And the guy I'm talking about is Will Levis. Will Levis is a really interesting name. What's your take on Will Levis?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're always trying to find that next quarterback riser, right? Whether it's trying to find the next Trubisky or Burrow or Kenny Pickett, and Levis is kind of the guy that people have coalesced around as those are your top 2, with Stroud, with Young. Levis is next. Very good arm, can throw the ball extremely well. There are areas that he needs to sort of clean up, right? Like seeing the field, working through reads, throwing guys open, anticipation, as you note there. Those are things that he has to clean up, but the arm is certainly there. I'm a little bit cooler on him than I think consensus is right now. There are a couple of guys that I'm a little bit more excited about, but can he be that guy that rises? Can he be that guy that plays his way, high into the first round? Absolutely. He's got the ideal size and, weight and height and build for the position. And so I think there's a reason for the excitement. I'm just a little cooler on him than I think consensus is right now.
A lot of people call this draft like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, but after that, it's like a race for number 3. Is that correct?
I mean, I think so. I think so, but it's really probably a race for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like I'm not saying we're going to see like 7 guys in the first round, but I think there's the potential to see, we saw 1 this past, we saw 5 the one before that. I think 5 is a reasonable number given the talent that's there. I do think, right now, Stroud and Young are the guys that kind of separated themselves, but that's not to say that's where they're going to end up. And there's a lot that can change. Young, Stroud, they might decide, look, we'll stay another year. Like we like college. Things can change over the course of the next couple of months here. But right now, you got those 2 guys at the top, and then everybody else is kind of fighting for who's next, whether it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How many first round, quarterbacks do you expect in next year's draft? Like, could we see 4 or 5?
I think we could. I absolutely think we could. I mean, when I did my first mock, my only mock to date, I think I had 4, maybe 5. And there's a lot of talent at the position, number one. And you're also talking about the fact that there's always teams that need quarterbacks. I mean, especially the teams that passed on them this year that we thought might go early, they sort of might decide that, like, hey, you know what? We're going to do it down. We're going to, the talent, the depth of this position group, we've got to go get our guys. And so, I mean, I think you might see 5, you might see 6, but it's a very, very good quarterback class. I'm trying to pull up like mock drafts right now, trying to see where players are going. Let's see, consensus mock draft. I mean, NFL mock draft database, one of my favorite sites. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Tyler Van Dyke, Will Levis. These are all, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas.
He's a beast.
These are all guys that are going in the first round right now. So, there you go.
Here's a guy that I think the sky is the limit for Florida. Anthony Richardson can let it fly anywhere, has a great arm. He's a little too reckless for his own good, but talk about unbelievable upside. What's your take on Anthony Richardson?
I mean, very, very sort of similar to perhaps the conversation we were having around Malik Willis, right? Like extremely talented, like you said, unbelievable measurables, arm talent, athleticism, patience, like didn't play a ton, but showed at times that this is the guy. This is the guy for Florida. They're moving ahead with him. So there's a lot of room to grow. You're seeing projections, like I said, having him well inside the first round right now. I think that's a little rich, but the talent level is there. And if you've got, a window to develop somebody, you'll probably be excited about what you see from him in the fall.
Yeah. All right. That is Anthony Richardson. Now I think a guy that I think blew me away is Tyler Van Dyke. Just has a cannon arm, elite in the red zone. What's your take on Tyler Van Dyke?
I mean, look, extremely talented player. When I was studying him, I was kind of surprised, like, man, why is this guy getting so much excitement before I really dove in? And then I dove into the film and it's like, oh yeah, he's making anticipation throws in the middle of the field with not a ton of experience under his belt. Like good arm, moves well in the pocket, works through reads quickly. As you know, can hit every throw he wants. Yes, there's some mechanical inconsistency, and yes, there are things he can clean up for. And yes, teams will now have a year of film on him. But I think he's similar to the Eagles. There's excitement down in Miami. Obviously, a new head coach coming home. What TVD showed last year as well. But he's a huge reason for their excitement. And the fact that he was able to make some reads and throws attack in the middle of the field, which you often don't see from college quarterbacks, period, let alone guys with minimal experience, is a huge thing for him.
Love it. And then lastly, we already we have 2 more. Let's go through a guy that I actually was a little surprised on. I think I read on The Athletic was Tanner Mckee was the number 3 guy here. He was one of my honorable mentions just outside of my top 5, but I would love to know kind of your thoughts on Tanner Mckee. Great size.
Yeah, I mean, it sort of starts with another name in Davis Mills, right? Like, you look at that Stanford offense and what it's done for quarterbacks and how it sort of opened the doors, right? And as I wrote in my notes, like Mills rode that Stanford pro-style offense to an earlier than expected draft pick. he could have the same kind of sort of rise, like 64.7% completion percentage, 14 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. Aggression and accuracy are two strengths of his. Not afraid of challenging small throwing windows. No fear throwing over the middle. An accurate passer that I think is going to have people excited. Touch, yeah, kind of needs to improve on that, but has size, has accuracy, has aggression, plus mechanics, good footwork, good feel. He could be a first-round pick.
Yeah, really, really fun class. Out of all those guys, who do you think would fit Nick Sirianni's system the most or the best? Assuming, even if you would have to trade up just a little bit, do you have like a favorite out of that group?
I mean, for Sirianni's system, it's kind of hard to look past Young, and I don't know if it's the kind of like athletic Alabama kind of thing that's in the back of my mind. Mckee could fit really well. Levis could fit really well. There's another guy that if they sort of move in the like under center play action, crossers, pro style concepts off of play action, Phil Jakovic from Boston College. He didn't dive into a little bit that much, but one of my favorite guys this time last year had a wrist injury. So he didn't really play a ton, and we made a ton of mistakes. He probably came back too soon trying to, improve his draft stock, but made the decision to go back. I think he's a guy to sort of watch. I'm going through my list of quarterbacks here. We'll drop Spencer Rattler's name in there. Will Rogers from Mississippi State. I know. Look, PFF just dropped their like top 10 quarterbacks, and they had Rattler over Stroud right now. That was Anthony Thresh over there.
Wow.
So that's an interesting one. There are a couple of other guys. Tua's younger brother, Maryland Tala, keep an eye on him. KJ Jefferson as well. Like I said, I had like 25 quarterbacks on the watch list that I put together, including some guys whose names we haven't got to. It's got the potential to be a tremendously deep class.
Yeah, it's awesome. I did my early rankings of my quarterbacks, and I just came out so impressed. KJ Jefferson, uber potential. A lot of these guys
so deep.
Yeah, a lot of these guys we just have to wait and see and how they perform this season. But I think there's going to be a lot of high risers, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Unlike I was not giddy about last year's class.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But this next group, it's going to make my life a little easier, right? Because there's going to be a lot of excitement about this quarterback class. There's a lot of people that are going to be, asking me questions about these guys. So it's going to be a better draft season for me than it was last year, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah.